All eyes locked on her the moment she stepped into the arena. Jessica Reed, plain jeans, scuffed boots, no fancy riding gear, just a quiet woman with determined eyes. "Who let the stable hand in?" Someone snickered from the VIP section. The championship judge's voice carried across the grounds. "That's our final competitor? She looks more suited to mucking stalls than riding Thunderbolt." They didn't know. They didn't know she had broken and trained the most legendary horses in 3 states. If you've ever been underestimated, hit like and subscribe. Willow Creek Equestrian Center stood like a fortress of old money and privilege. White fences stretched for miles, stables gleaming with fresh paint, thoroughbreds worth more than most people's houses prancing in paddocks lined with perfect grass. The outdoor arena was packed, designer sunglasses, champagne flutes, and $100 hats dotting the stands. Jessica stepped through the competitor's entrance, her 28-year-old frame strong but unassuming. Her dark hair pulled back in a simple braid, no makeup, just freckles scattered across her nose from years under the sun. Nothing about her screamed champion rider, not to this crowd anyway. Her second-hand boots and faded jeans marked her as an outsider, but beneath that unpolished exterior was a woman who could communicate with horses in a language few understood. The other riders stood in their circle of exclusivity, custom boots, tailored riding pants, family crests on polished helmets. Richard Thornhill, trust fund playboy in gleaming leather, leaned against the fence. Catherine Wellington, third-generation champion, adjusted her perfectly fitted jacket. Thomas Bedford, Olympic hopeful, polished his already spotless boots. Judge Marcus Hamilton surveyed the scene from his booth, his silver hair slicked back, his eyes cold as they landed on Jessica. "Contestant number 8, Jessica Reed." His tone made her name sound like an error in the system. Jessica handed in her registration form. Simple white paper, no embellishments, just her name and a lifetime of unrecognized achievements. Marcus took it, snorted, and slid it aside without a glance. If you've ever felt like you didn't belong in a world built to exclude you, like and subscribe. "Let's get something straight." Richard stepped into Jessica's space, voice dripping with condescension. "This isn't some backyard rodeo. Thunderbolt has thrown Olympic riders. What makes you think you stand a chance?" Jessica kept her voice steady. "I've been breaking wild Mustangs since I was 16. I've worked with—" "Breaking Mustangs?" Catherine cut in with a laugh. "We're talking about precision dressage with a temperamental purebred not playing cowgirl with desert scraps." Jessica tried again. "I specialize in difficult horses." Thomas pushed forward. "Do you even know what a half-pass is? Or is woe the extent of your equestrian vocabulary?" The group laughed, a cold chorus of privilege. "I studied under James Miller for 5 years, Jessica offered, mentioning one of the most respected trainers in the country. Catherine snorted. "As what, his coffee girl? James wouldn't waste time with someone without connections." Marcus approached, clipboard in hand. "Miss Reed, there's been a change. You've been assigned Thunderbolt." His eyes gleamed with cruel anticipation. Jessica's heart skipped. Thunderbolt, the notorious stallion who'd injured 3 riders this season alone, the beast nobody could control. "Perfect match," Richard smirked. "Amateur hour meets suicide mission." "He'll break her in half," Thomas added. Jessica's calm never wavered. "I'll take him." Marcus's eyebrows shot up. "Your funeral, sweetheart. He's in holding pen 3. She walked away, their laughter following like daggers. "Start planning your hospital visit," Catherine called after her. Jessica's boots kept moving forward, steady as her resolve. If you've ever faced a challenge everyone expected you to fail, hit like and subscribe. The holding pen fell silent when Jessica approached. Thunderbolt, 17 hands of pure black muscle, paced like a demon in a cage. Eyes wild, nostrils flared, foam speckling his mouth. The stallion's reputation was written in the scars on his flanks and the terror in the stable boy's eyes. "Ma'am, please don't go in there," the boy whispered. "He's worse today, already kicked through a stall door." From behind, Richard's voice carried. $10 says she doesn't make it to the mounting block. 20 says she cries before touching him, Thomas added. Catherine slid beside the stable boy. "Don't worry about cleaning up blood today, we have professionals for that." Her laughter echoed across the pen. Jessica ignored them all, eyes locked on the stallion. She slipped through the gate, closing it behind her. Thunderbolt wheeled, ears pinned flat, teeth bared. Marcus announced over the loudspeaker. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems our final contestant is either very brave or very foolish. Let's see how long before Thunderbolt adds another victim to his list. The crowd pressed forward, phones out, hoping to capture disaster. Jessica stood perfectly still, speaking in a voice too soft for anyone but the horse to hear. Thunderbolt charged, stopping short just inches from her face, dirt flying as his hooves dug into the earth. "She's dead," someone muttered. The stable boy covered his eyes. Thunderbolt reared, massive hooves slicing air where Jessica's head had been a second before. She didn't flinch, didn't run. The horse came down hard, snorting fury. Jessica remained motionless. Then, impossibly, she took a step forward. "That's suicide," Richard hissed. Jessica reached out one hand, trembling not with fear, but with an invitation that only Thunderbolt could understand. If you've ever known the truth, when everyone around you saw only danger, hit like and subscribe. "This is taking too long," Marcus barked, checking his watch. "Reed, either get on the horse or withdraw. We have a schedule to maintain." Jessica didn't acknowledge him. Her focus remained absolute, just her and Thunderbolt in a dance as old as time. The stallion circled her, nostrils flaring, testing. "Pathetic," Catherine Stage whispered. "She's frozen in fear," Richard smirked. "She's stalling because she knows she can't do it." The crowd grew restless, whispers spreading like wildfire. Wealthy patrons checked their phones, judges consulted rulebooks, looking for ways to disqualify her. "Last warning, Reed," Marcus shouted. Thomas stepped up to the fence. "Here, let me show her how it's done." He grabbed a crop from a nearby stand and slapped it against the rails. Thunderbolt exploded, rearing and kicking at the sound. Jessica barely dodged those lethal hooves, falling into the dirt. The crowd gasped, then laughed as she scrambled up, jeans now stained with mud. "Security!" Catherine called. "This is unsafe. Remove her before she gets hurt and embarrasses the entire competition." 2 guards approached the pen, keys jangling. Jessica raised a hand, pleading. "Give me 2 more minutes, please." "Time's up, stable girl," Richard taunted. "Back to shoveling manure where you belong." Thunderbolt paced in agitation, eyes rolling white. Someone threw an empty champagne flute that shattered near Jessica's feet. The stallion flinched, muscles bunching to bolt. "Get that animal under control," Marcus demanded. Jessica turned her back to the crowd, focusing entirely on the horse. She began humming, a low, steady sound that cut through the noise. Thunderbolt's ears flickered. The security guards unlocked the gate, stepping in. "Ma'am, you need to exit now." "Wait," she whispered, not to them but to the horse. "Please wait." Thomas leaned over the rail. "Grab her. She clearly can't handle." What happened next silenced the entire arena. Thunderbolt, the terror of Willow Creek, the horse who'd sent champions to the hospital, walked directly to Jessica. He lowered his great head, breath warm against her palm. The security guards froze. "Impossible," Catherine breathed. "She drugged him," Richard insisted. "Must have." "Blood test," Thomas demanded. "Test them both." Jessica moved slowly, her hand sliding up Thunderbolt's neck. The stallion stood still, trembling not with rage now but with something else. Recognition, perhaps. She leaned close, whispering into his ear. "Enough theatrics," Marcus snapped. "Either ride or withdraw. Last chance." Jessica glanced at the clock. 15 minutes until her scheduled performance. No time for proper warm-up, no chance to build trust properly. They'd rigged this from the start. "I'll ride," she said. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Without saddle or bridle, just a simple halter she'd pulled from her pocket, Jessica moved to Thunderbolt's side. The horse could have killed her in an instant. Instead, he stood rock-steady as she placed one hand on his back. "She's not serious," Catherine gasped. "Without tack, she'll die." Jessica took a breath and swung herself onto the stallion's bare back. If you've ever trusted your instincts when everyone expected disaster, hit like and subscribe. The main arena buzzed with anticipation as Jessica and Thunderbolt waited at the entrance gate. The announcer's voice boomed across the grounds. "Ladies and gentlemen, our final competitor, Jessica Reed, riding." There was a pause, papers shuffling. "Thunderbolt, there must be some mistake." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Sophisticated equestrians exchanged glances. Riding Thunderbolt was one thing. Riding him without proper equipment was madness. "This goes against regulation," Marcus protested, his face flushed. "She can't—" "Let her ride." A new voice cut through the chaos. The crowd parted as a tall figure strode toward the judge's stand. Salt and pepper hair, weathered face, commanding presence. James Miller, the legendary trainer whose name opened doors throughout the equestrian world, the man Jessica had mentioned, whom Catherine had dismissed. "James," Marcus stammered, "what are you doing here?" Miller's eyes were ice. "Watching my protege compete, the one you've been trying to sabotage all day." The color drained from Catherine's face. Richard suddenly found his boots fascinating. Thomas looked like he might be sick. The crowd fell silent as Miller turned toward Jessica, giving her a subtle nod. She straightened her shoulders, gathering the simple lead rope in her hands. Thunderbolt stood beneath her, calm as a summer lake. "Open the gate," Miller commanded, and Jessica Reed rode into the arena on the back of the devil himself. If you're ready to witness the impossible become reality, like and subscribe. The arena went silent as Thunderbolt entered with Jessica on his back. The massive stallion moved with impossible grace, responsive to the slightest shift of her weight. No bit, no saddle, nothing but trust between woman and beast. Miller climbed to the announcer's booth, commandeering the microphone. His voice echoed across the grounds. "Before this ride begins, there's something you should know." He paused, surveying the crowd. Jessica Reed isn't some stable hand who wandered in. She's the woman who saved Thunderbolt's life 3 years ago when his previous owners had scheduled him to be destroyed. Murmurs rippled through the stands. "This horse," Miller continued, "was deemed unrideable after suffering abuse that left him traumatized and dangerous. Jessica spent 18 months rehabilitating him at my facility, sleeping in his stall during thunderstorms because he was terrified of the sound." Catherine's smug smile crumbled. Richard shifted uncomfortably. Thomas stared, slack-jawed. When Thunderbolt was well enough, he was sold to Willow Creek, with the explicit understanding that Jessica would continue as his primary handler. That agreement was ignored the moment the check cleared. Marcus sputtered into his own microphone. That's not relevant to today's." "It's entirely relevant," Miller cut him off, "because the woman you've been mocking all day isn't just a rider. She's the only person who's ever been able to ride Thunderbolt without him trying to kill someone." The stallion circled the arena, muscles rippling beneath Jessica's legs. As if understanding the moment, he lifted his hooves in perfect rhythm, tail flowing like a banner. "For the past year," Miller continued, "these illustrious competitors have been taking credit for performances on a horse they can barely approach. The trophies in your display case, Mr. Thornhill, Miss Wellington's feature in Equestrian Monthly, Mr. Bedford's Olympic qualification, all made possible because Jessica spent hours preparing Thunderbolt before you ever mounted up." Gasps spread through the crowd. Phones appeared, recording the unfolding drama. "Today, you'll see what this horse can really do, with the only rider he's ever truly accepted." Jessica leaned forward, whispering into Thunderbolt's ear. The stallion snorted, then launched into the most complicated dressage routine the competition had ever witnessed. Every movement flowed like water, flying lead changes, extended trots, half passes executed with balletic precision. Horse and rider moved as one being, communicating through whispers of muscle and breath. The crowd watched, mesmerized, as Jessica performed maneuvers that shouldn't have been possible without traditional equipment. Thunderbolt, the monster, the killer, danced beneath her like he'd been born for this moment alone. When they finished, the arena erupted. Standing ovation. Tears. Even the other competitors stood frozen in awe. All except Marcus, who slumped in his chair, knowing his carefully constructed hierarchy had just been demolished by a woman in scuffed boots on a horse everyone feared. If you've ever witnessed truth shatter pretense, hit like, comment, and subscribe. The aftermath came swift as summer lightning. Judges huddled, clipboards flying, rulebooks consulted. The crowd wouldn't stop cheering, refusing to let politics overshadow what they'd witnessed. Richard stormed from the arena, yanking off his custom gloves. Catherine stood shell-shocked, her perfect ponytail coming undone. Thomas slipped away, phone already to his ear, damage control in full swing. Miller descended from the announcer's booth, cameras tracking his every move. "The scores, Marcus, now!" Marcus's hands trembled as he tallied the final points. His voice cracked over the microphone. "First place, Jessica Reed riding Thunderbolt." The trophy gleamed in Jessica's calloused hands, crystal and gold catching sunlight. Thunderbolt stood beside her, no longer restrained, head high with dignity restored. Sponsors swarmed, business cards thrust toward her. "We'd like to discuss representation. Our brand would be honored." The same people who wouldn't meet her eyes hours before now couldn't stop smiling at her. Catherine approached, makeup streaked from tears. "I didn't know. About his history. About you." "You never asked," Jessica replied simply. Richard's father, chairman of the equestrian board, pushed through the crowd. "Miss Reed, we owe you an apology, and a contract if you're willing." The offers piled up like autumn leaves: training positions, sponsorships, magazine covers. Jessica listened with that same quiet calm she'd shown all day. The arena emptied slowly, but one figure remained at the far gate. Marcus, badge removed, security escorting him from the premises. His career, built on favoritism and cruelty, collapsed in a single afternoon. Jessica didn't watch him go. She was too busy gently removing Thunderbolt's halter, rewarding him with the apple she'd carried in her pocket all day. If you've ever seen justice delivered without a single harsh word, like and subscribe. 1 year later, rain tapped against the windows of Redemption Stables. Jessica stood at the entrance, watching a line of cars pull up the muddy drive. Range Rovers and Mercedes SUVs parked beside weathered pickup trucks, the elite and the hard-working drawn by the same magnet. Inside the indoor arena, 12 horses, all once deemed dangerous or unrideable, stood in peaceful formation. At the center, Thunderbolt, now a teaching horse, gentle enough for children to approach. Catherine Wellington entered. No designer jodhpurs today, just practical work clothes. Her championship ribbons traded for the simple satisfaction of mucking stalls and learning horsemanship from the ground up. Her redemption had been hard-won. 6 months of showing up, being humbled, and finally understanding that horses respond to heart, not pedigree. "The new rescue arrives this afternoon," she told Jessica, her former arrogance replaced by genuine respect. Jessica nodded. "Thomas is bringing him." Thomas Bedford had become their transport volunteer, using his father's horse trailer to rescue abused animals. His Olympic dreams shelved for something more meaningful: redemption. Richard hadn't joined them. Last she'd heard, he'd sold his horses and moved to the city. Some lessons take longer to learn. A small girl with leg braces approached Thunderbolt, her face alight with wonder. The massive stallion lowered his head gently, blowing warm breath against her palm. Jessica watched as the child who doctors said would never walk independently giggled and straightened her spine. This was Jessica's real victory, not the trophies now gathering dust on her shelf, not the magazine covers or the sponsorship deals. It was this: creating a place where broken beings healed each other. Miller appeared beside her, pride evident in his weathered face. "You've built something rare here, Jess." She smiled, watching as Thunderbolt, once feared, now taught humans how to trust again. If you believe second chances reveal our true character, hit like, share your story in the comments, and subscribe for more journeys of redemption.